children are being invited to design stamps to mark the role played by key workers. The winners of the Royal Mail competition will be released as a special set next year. And the weather cloudy and quite chilly in eastern and southeastern areas today. Warmer sunny spells elsewhere. A high of 14 Celsius. From Global's newsroom, I'm Thomas Watts.
If you want to do something important, care for others.
It's not always easy doing what we do, but it's 100% worth it.
Working in adult social care, you make a real difference to people's lives, and that makes a difference to yours.
You can work with young people, always thinking water and avoiding activities. There's all sorts. I'm training on the job for everything.
So if you want lots of opportunities in a job to be proud of, search adult social care jobs. We're recruiting now in your local area. Care for others. Make a difference.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Andrew Castle.
It's 3 minutes past 7 morning to you, Saturday morning to Saturday. It is the 3rd of April. I really am trying to care about vaccine passports. I'm really trying to be that 18, 19, 20-year-old. Oh, in my 20s, insufferable. Where I was, everything was political. Everything was, a state versus us. I mean, the backdrop to that was the battle for Motorway, etc. This was the state crushing line. I mean, really, this is where I used to be. Now, I'm so ground down by the whole thing. I'm like, I'll carry a COVID pass. Not only do I carry a COVID pass, but if you want to stick a sign on my head and just say, yeah, you've had it or you're immune, I'm fine with it. It's pathetic, really. I suppose I should care, but I've done a straw poll of very bright, very intelligent, mostly young people in this gallery this morning doing this program. Sam, Alex, Nick, Eleanor. Nobody cares because they know full well, and you know full well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen here. So the fight that we seem to be having over COVID passports, vaccine certification, I don't even know whether it's even worth talking about. Is it? Why is it? Do you feel an erosion of civil liberties? Why are you so paranoid about that? Have a look at your phone. Do me if you are paranoid, have a look at your phone, see how many passwords are on there and how much information you've had to log just to, get the thing to work. And how many websites you go on with a username and a password, which is easily guessable. It's over, folks. Once you put that in your hand, it's finished. I would have thought. So why are you worried about a vaccine certificate? Just get out and go to a pub or open a theatre. Give us a shout. 0345 6060973. James Goodison has the latest on this. James, would you carry, if somebody said we're all going to a nightclub, you've had 2 drinks outside, socially distanced, marvellous, and then somebody says we're off to a nightclub and great lunch, but it means carrying a passport or ID, you'd go, right?
I think it really depends, Andrew, on how it's implemented, how long it will last, and what exactly the information is. But you do touch upon quite a notable point, which is that if you carry a mobile phone, you probably have a lot of information on there already, which perhaps you're not fully aware of, that people could potentially look at. But regardless, the decision is looming for the Prime Minister whether over the coming months Britain will ask for certificates that could be used to allow entries to pubs, theatres, nightclubs and sports venues. It's possible this could be announced on Monday. The Prime Minister is set to address the nation in what would be one of the most important moments of the lockdown easing so far. Now, the government said that no final decision has been made on COVID passports, but when asked this week, the Prime Minister said it was likely there would be some documentation for international travel, and on the home front, they would be useful.
So I think that the issue of the vaccine certification, there's definitely going to be a world in which international travel will use vaccine passports. You can see that already. Other countries, the aviation industry are interested in those. There's a lot controlled substance. The all-new Vauxhall Mocha in electric, petrol and diesel. Search new Mocha.
Whee! Whoosh! Up then down, loop the loop, ending rather abruptly in a dot. Lucky you didn't add 2 kisses to the end. Making your mark in business takes more than just your signature on a contract. It takes paying attention to the details too, like choosing the right insurance. Superscript ensures you can have your business insurance just the way you want it, allowing you to decide the shape of things to come. Superscript, monthly business insurance shaped around you.
Hi there, small business owner. Your tiny QuickBooks team here. Just a quick reminder that we take care of calculating and filing your VAT and payroll taxes, which makes it easier for you to manage throughout the year.
That's right. You're not missing out on any tax savings.
Not on our watch.
For available tax products, visit quickbooks.co.uk.
Andrew Castle on LBC. Call 0345 6060973.
This is interesting. LBC, Andrew, I don't have a smartphone, I can't afford one, so I hope we can opt for a card passport. I already feel excluded from certain things because of apps, says Jax. Well, Jax, you've just texted me. How have you texted me if you don't have a smartphone? That's sort of interesting. I told you about my brother, powerful LBC listener, David. Passports, yes, no one I know objects. No different to going to a country that insists on yellow fever, dengue fever vaccination before entering their country, e.g. Kenya or Tanzania. All right, David, thank you very much. What are you doing up? Go back to bed. 7:20 is the time. We'll go to Ben in Bristol first on this. Have you got an objection to vaccine passports or some sort of a certification or not? Good morning.
Yeah, Andrew, you seem a little confused. It surprised me. You're usually a pretty sharp bloke. I can give you the clarity, okay? I can give you clarity, all right?
I'm always confused, Ben. Are you kidding me? I'm so confused at the moment.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go
Are
on.
you ready? This is the answer, okay? It's not difficult to figure out. This is absolutely outrageous that they're even suggesting this.
Okay.
It's completely morally and spiritually and emotionally wrong on every level. Only a people who've been like locked down, subjected to this fear and terror for a whole year, and desperate to get out. It's like Stockholm syndrome, falling in love with their captors, like actually accepting terms which a year ago nobody would have accepted. This was absolutely outrageous.
You are far gone, though, Ben. You are far. Listen, I know you're right. I've told you already. If you were listening to my 7 o'clock rant, Raven, I've given up. You're right. I'm ground down. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your honesty in saying that, but that's why you need people who can say no. I'm not ever been massively anti-vax at all, but I'm not going to take this one on principle. I'm 45 years of age because there's got to be people who stand up for this.
So you call yourself, listen, you're clearly a principled man, you have strong opinions, and you're not going to take a vaccine. You've looked at the evidence and you're not going to take the vaccine.
Yeah, because it's the social control that's going on around it. I'm 45 years of age. Have you noticed, by the way, after the over-vaccinated, the over 70, the death count went right down, and we don't need to vaccinate half the rest of the nation. It's just completely ridiculous. But people are being tricked. I mean, a few weeks ago, they were saying, oh, get a vaccine because you'll be able to travel. And then suddenly, they say, no, you can't travel for the whole summer. It's absolutely outrageous.
I know, you're feeling oppressed at the moment, and I get that. You're feeling crushed.
There'll be a way, and also people are listening. This is smoke and mirrors. There will still be ways to travel. There'll still be restaurants that won't demand a vaccine passport, and they're going to get my trade. I don't want to travel to a country that demands that we vaccinate to go in. So I've got to take a spit test at the airport. The test will get better and better at the airport. You've got to do it. Don't really like doing it, but there'll be ways of doing it. There'll still be restaurants and places you can go to. A lot of this is terrorising people who wouldn't take a vaccine. They wouldn't normally take it.
I understand where you're coming from. Ben, and I could make the argument with you on a number of those issues, and I appreciate your the passion and the straight talking about the whole thing. I still would take the vaccine if I were you. I spoke to somebody yesterday who's having this long COVID, and I know it's another element that you might say, well, they're using it to